Welcome to episode 65 on this beautiful first day of May on the 214 Sports Show, the Andre Gurode episode, if you will. Number 65 for the Dallas Cowboys, played in 2002 to 2010. A little bit of the beginning of the Tony Romo era. I'm Joseph Duffey, joined alongside TJ Krulowitz as always. How you doing, TJ?
Doing good. Hope there wasn't any motion sickness through my screen right there for a little bit. I know it was a little shaky. And hope everybody's staying safe during these thunderstorms in DFW. I know it's hitting pretty hard, at least on Wednesday, the day that we're recording. So hope y'all are staying safe.
Well, the Dallas Stars are getting ready to play in a clinching matchup to move on to the second round against the Colorado Avalanche. The Texas Rangers have been on a downward tumble this past week on the Bay Area, but have won recently in big fashion, scoring 10 plus runs for the first time in what feels like forever against the A's. And then, of course, Dallas Cowboys wrapped up their NFL draft just this past weekend. So we'll start with that last part, TJ. What are your general thoughts on this draft class? Do you have a grade?
I would give it probably a B minus. I want to give it a B, but there is just a lot of things that I think could have gone different ways. Um, I do like the first round pick. We were watching at the same time, and we both kind of expecting a different answer. Of course, we were thinking kind of Matthew Golden. He drops the Green Bay, of course. Um, Maybe Jihad Campbell. Of course, he drops to Philadelphia at 31, which is crazy and just so expected. The Eagles just have somebody fall into their lap like that. Um, but we were watching that. We were watching the 12th pick, and we saw Tyler Booker, and we were like, it's not bad. That's not bad. But we had that little pause whenever he did get picked because we weren't expecting it. Um, but overall, good pick, I think. I think the second round pick was good, but from Boston College, and I think the third round pick, Siobhan Reevil, I'm very high on him, and I think that was a great value pick at third round. But other than that, I don't think the late rounds were that good. I think the two running backs that we got are not the best. Jaden Blue is, as we know, have lots of issues with fumbling the ball, um, but does get good speed, good acceleration, can break a couple tackles, I guess. You don't want to see him in the open field though, um, unless he's fumbling the ball. And I don't really know too much about the Clemson running back. So, I mean, overall, B minus. I wish we would have gone some more skill positions on offense. I was waiting for that in the first 2 days. They wait till the third day because they say that there's so much value with the running backs. I get that, but Jaden Blue and F Phil Mata,
Maffa,
Maffa,
yeah.
I mean, that's not what I was expecting, especially when you get no wide receivers. This offense is still uh pretty bad. I mean, at least we got a good O line, but that's really all about it on the offense, man.
Yeah, man, that was one of the biggest storylines of this entire draft for the Cowboys. No receiving picks, no receivers at all. Are you kidding me? Relying on, Jalen, Ryan Flournoy and Jalen Brooks and, Jalen Tolbert, who was a hero in the Steelers game. I'll give him that. He had a really clutch catch there. But man, these receivers, as you've said in the past, they don't get separation and they rank at the bottom of this the receiving corps of the NFL these past few seasons, and you don't even get one, and you're trying to put all your chips in a basket during the deadline, which we know they don't hound in on. Very interesting choice.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at the what going back to the offseason too. I mean, we made all those reconstructing deals with Prescott and CeeDee Lamb to kind of make those deals for these skill positions that we so badly needed. And once we didn't, we thought it was going to go to the draft, and that didn't even happen. I mean, we had all that money. We could have gone somebody like or not could have gone somebody like Stefan Diggs, which I don't know, not the biggest thing, but Cooper Kupp was a big one that I think a lot of people wanted to go to the Cowboys.
Yep.
Could have used that money to do that. Instead, we thought they're going to wait to the draft. They don't do anything at the draft. It's a very interesting approach. you gotta say, interesting approach by the Cowboys. Just hey, we Prescott won't get sacked that much, but he's not gonna have any receivers to throw to. So what are you gonna do,
Man,
Dak?
man.
He can read a
Well,
book back there probably, but
if
by
you
the
have
time he
nobody to throw
finishes
to,
that
yeah.
book, still no receivers open.
Yeah, man. I mean, we talk about a little bit more on this exclusive interview that's coming up. As you'll see, Taggart Kent is a UNT student. That's in Denton, Texas, of course, in their journalism
What's
program. Mean Green. I don't know their symbol. I don't know. I
I
don't know,
remember
actually.
being I
I
don't
don't
know what
remember
it
that.
is.
That feels like a horn
It's
frog symbol. That's a horn frog,
that is
right?
a horn frog, but that's a talon too, man, like an eagle talon.
Uh, I don't know their symbols. I know the Mean Green, though. They fighting Eagles. But Taggart Kent is a great, content creator for Dallas Cowboys content. Has over 9K followers on TikTok, has over 1.5K followers on X, formerly Twitter, and has a YouTube page as well. So we got to talk to him as well to get his thoughts on the Cowboys draft and where he grades some of these picks. Take a look real quick. All right, welcome to episode 65 of the 214 Sports Show. Another exclusive interview for you here on the podcast, and I'm glad to be joined for the first time ever. This is a year in the making with Taggart Kent, otherwise known as Tag on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter. Thank you for joining us, Tag.
Of course, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on. This has been a year in the making. I think you accidentally, maybe not accidentally, but you followed me when I had like 200 followers and I
Yeah.
made some video about the Cowboys and I was like, I know who that guy is. Let me...
Yeah, I remember that for sure. I do remember that you messaged me and you're like, man, you realize you followed me, right? And I was like, I really didn't know. I just followed a guy who was making Cowboys content, solid Cowboys content at that. Like again, you can follow him on social media as well on X. And why don't you go ahead and just share where they can find you to start this exclusive interview right now?
Yeah, it's going to be Taggart Kent, Taggartkent on Twitter or X, as you hear my dog whining, begging for attention. Jeez. And TikTok as well. Quit it. And then on YouTube, it's going to be Taggy, Tagggyk.
All right, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your introduction to sports, what you're trying to do in college, and what do you want to do for your career, basically.
Yeah, so I've always wanted to be kind of like I wanted to work in sports journalism. That's when I moved to the university. Dude, I'm gonna have to restart. Rocket, do you need to go outside? Okay. All right. I've always wanted to work in sports journalism. That's the reason I moved up to Denton to come to the University of North Texas because they had a really good journalism program. And
Mm.
around like my junior year, I I was looking at everybody else's resumes and track records and what they were kind of doing to get into the industry, and I got really drunk on the Super Bowl and I sat down and I thought to myself, man, I am not doing anything. And so I decided something needed to change. I needed to make some type of step towards making a career in sports possible. And so I decided to start a TikTok. I started thinking about the landscape of sports media in general and how it's so personality driven and how people follow you and your brand more than they do actual like conglomerates anymore, like ESPN, Fox. People don't watch ESPN because it's ESPN. We're watching for Stephen A. Smith. We don't watch Fox or Fox. We watch Colin Cowherd. And so I figured the best way to go about it at that point was because I was so behind on school kind of things in terms of joining the school newspaper or the school television program. I decided TikTok and YouTube were the best way to go about it. And to be honest, I thought nothing was going to come of it. And then I posted a video about Micah Parsons where I was crashing out about the Cowboys' run defense. And then all of a sudden, people started following me and wanting to hear from me. And now I'm almost 10,000, which is nice, and 1.5K on Twitter.
Yeah, man. And you talk about that YouTube page you're doing. Explain like what you're trying to do on that YouTube, because it's not exactly like, long videos, but it's not exactly short as well. You're making good content right there. What are you doing on YouTube?
A lot of it is like me just wanting to make more drawn out takes that I've made on TikTok. I have a series called An Honest Conversation where I'll go and I'll watch a player's film and I'll analyze them as unbiased as possible, which is funny because I feel like the only two players I've done I'm extremely biased on in Anthony Richardson and Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I still try to go into it and analyze the players as unbiased and as possible. And then I like to go over little things that I just little takes that I have that I want to dive deeper into than I could on TikTok in a 2 minute video. And so it feels like almost a personal account rather than, actually going over the NFL. But as the NFL season gets into a swing, it'll be a lot more NFL takes and NFL content.
Do you deal with like a little bit of anxiousness before you're about to post any of these videos, whether it be on, TikTok or YouTube? Because I feel that sometimes a little bit, even with
Mhm.
a tweet. But, how does it feel when you're about to post something, say on TikTok, where you've grown so much in the past year to about 9K followers, I think I saw last. Do you feel a little bit anxious when you post something on these big platforms now?
I used to, when I first started, I was really like the idea of 600,000 people seeing and hearing your voice and seeing your face is it's a little jarring at first, and then you kind of get used to it, and then people kind of get used to seeing you and hearing you, and they start to like you or they start to hate you, and it becomes like it's almost like a job, and I'm more anxious that a video will or won't do well than I am posting it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm not as nervous of like, oh man, what are people gonna think? I'm just nervous like, can this video do well, please? Because especially recently, I feel like the algorithms had me in jail.
Man,
Um,
it's crazy now. It's not as easy as it used to be like pre-COVID or even during COVID.
mhm.
It's insane.
Yeah, there's such like a people tell me there's an exact science to this stuff, and I'm just like, I don't know if I'm smart enough to figure that out.
All right, man, let's dive a little bit into America's team. The Dallas Cowboys just
Yes,
wrapped up
please.
their draft this past weekend. Had a few picks. New regime for Brian Schottenheimer. He's assigned Clayton Adams as his OC, more of like a run game coordinator in a way. Matt Eberflus, and a hire I'm very excited for from the Chicago Bears, former head coach. Before that, DC of the Indianapolis Colts. Generally speaking, how do you grade these draft picks overall?
Um, you want me to go like pick by pick or just the full draft as a
Just
whole?
just the full thing as a whole for the
The full
Cowboys.
draft as a whole, I gave an A minus. I thought it was very impressive as we see
Mhm.
special guest Rocket. So I'll let him out. All right, should be no more distractions. The whole draft I gave an A minus as a whole. There was a lot of picks I liked in here, especially down the board. Maybe I don't know if you saw it. I freaked out over the second round pick Donovan Ezuraku, just because I'm
Yeah.
not the biggest fan of Ezuraku as a player. But as I kind of calmed down, I realized that there are elements of his game that I like, and I kind of looked at the board in retrospect, and I was like, he's probably just the best player on the board, even if I'm not the biggest fan of him. At 44, that's a pretty good pick. Siobhan Rebel is one of the steals of the draft. That was a top 25 player for me. It might have been top 30. I think I might have had him at 28. And so to get him in the third round is insane. Jaden Blue is a very good player as well. Fast, speedy running back that I feel like we've needed for years. And
Oh
then
yes.
down the
Yeah.
board, Phil Maffa as like a thunder to his lightning is intriguing as well. One thing I will say I'm confused about though, Tyler Booker and a Johnny Cornelius, our first round pick and our sixth round pick, offensive guard, offensive tackle. Both of those guys are really strong, but they're not all that athletic. And so for a team that runs zone, inside zone and wide zone, I'm a little interested to see how they go moving forward because those are two gap scheme offensive linemen. And so inserting them into a zone running scheme is a little interesting. Tyler Booker, I can get because he's such a good pass protector. There's four other dudes on the offensive line who are insanely athletic. I feel like you can hide them. And I guess a Johnny Cornelius is just a depth pickup, but an interesting depth pickup at that.
Do you have any concern about a guy like Revel who, has gone through injury concerns? Do you view it as injury concerns because it's a young ACL injury that he
Yeah.
had that kept him out ahead of the draft? Do you think that's a risky pick? But I mean, like you said, it was a third round pick. I guess it's a gamble that paid off. What do you think about that when you factor his injuries?
Yeah, I mean, I understand the injury concerns, the same thing with like Will Johnson and Josh Simmons, but we're living in the age of modern medicine. The ACL injury isn't exactly what it was when
Yeah.
Derrick Rose was running around, you know what I mean? I don't really think like it's the end of his career. Maybe he's not ready day one, which Cowboys kind of need a corner that's ready day one. It's funny, two corners, Siobhan Revel and Trayvon Diggs are both questionable day one. But you're not drafting just for their rookie year. You're drafting these players hopefully to become 10-year Cowboys, and I think Siobhan Revel has that potential. He's super long. He's like a prototypical 2025 corner, long, athletic, and he fits well in Flus's scheme, which is a lot of cover three, cover four. We're dropping seven in coverage, rushing four. He's got those kind of chops. And one of the more interesting things too is I feel like it gives the opportunity, if he's good, to have him on one side, Diggs on the other, and we can move Deron Bland back to the slot because we did lose Jordan Lewis, and so slot corner is something that is going to be a need. And if he ends up being good, Deron Bland can kick back in there to, I guess, his more natural role.
When it comes to Donovan Ezaraku, is it about his speed? Is it about his bend to you? What is it that made you like draw a little bit of pause, like specifically?
His speed is what is concerning and his kind of change of direction in the open field because his bend is absurd. I said this in a TikTok and I said this to another person I was talking about this about. He has probably the deepest back of all the edge rushers in the class. He's got the second or third best bend, depending on what you think of Mike Green. I'd put it ahead of Mike Green. And he had 16 and a half sacks at Boston College, which is a Power Four school. If he was really this great of an athlete, like people said he was, say he is, he would not have been available at pick 44. But that is a little bit of a concern with him. And so I wonder what the upside looks there. But we don't have a pass rusher on the edge outside of Micah that's like remotely dangerous. So I understand the thought process behind going a high floor prospect, someone that I don't think there's a world where Ezraku is horrible. I don't know if there's a world where he's ever like this game wrecker, but as a designated pass rusher, maybe not designated, but as a rotational pass rusher, I think he can absolutely have an impact to day one. And I'm not as angry or frustrated as I was when the pick was first made when I saw the name.
You don't want to count Dante Fowler? You don't want to count Fowler coming
I
back?
forgot we brought him back.
Hey, maybe he
His
can learn
old
under.
ass.
Yeah, he's an old man now, but he's back from Dan Quinn's Washington Commanders.
Oh,
Of course, that was, you could say a big loss at the
mhm.
time. I felt I was a little bit salty towards Dan Quinn on his way out, going in that Packers game, had to change up his scheme a little bit to fit Stephon Gilmore's injury. So it was just an all-around disaster for that Cowboys team, as we all remember that tragic, tragic day that they got destroyed at home against the Green Bay Packers in the playoffs. But man, looks like we're bringing back Dante Fowler. Shades of that Dan Quinn defense coming back a little bit after a career high 11 and a half career sack, 11 and a half season sack total this past year with the Washington Commanders, who really stunned the entire league and went to the
Totally
NFC
put.
Championship. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I know you weren't exactly digging the Commanders hype, especially after that defeat that they had against the Cowboys in that first divisional game, right?
Yeah. I won't say I'm a hater of them, but I did have some beef with their fans over a video I made, which I felt like I was praising them the entire time. And then I said maybe they're not quite 7-2 good. And they were in the comments, they let me hear it. And I was like,
Oh
all right.
yeah. Oh yeah.
I will say though, seventh round pick, you bring up that run defense. Seventh round pick, Jay Toai. I watched him very briefly yesterday morning after having a conversation with another friend of mine. Big boy, hard to move. This is a team that desperately needs some run defense help in the interior. Maybe he ends up being something. You don't ever hope of anything much from a seventh round pick, but yeah, 6'2", 340 pounds. He's a big dude, and you can tell when you watch UCLA.
I loved your analysis of the running back picks, especially with Jaden Blue and Maffa being, lightning and thunder. Blue, I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, been since I was a little boy. It was cool to watch him in the flesh. He had fumble issues, I will say. Ball
Yeah,
security could be an issue, especially going to the next level. That's what I had an issue with this past season. But of course, he can have he has big game ability, is what I'm trying to say. So
yeah. Good
big
hands
break
too.
ability for sure, especially in the Ohio State game as
Hmm.
well. You saw him have those two receiving touchdowns, and Phil Maffa saw him in the flesh as well. Pretty decent running back. Didn't have a great game against the Longhorns, but he's a great big running back who can bring more power. Young guy, of course, coming from the draft. I do like these picks for now. Do you see Javonte Williams in this receiving core, running back core rather? staying for a while, or do you see these guys developing under them for a minute and then finally getting their chance in, 2 or 3 years maybe?
Knowing the Cowboys, they're I feel like the first couple weeks they're definitely rolling out with Miles Sanders and Javonte Williams, but I think the youth of Jaden Blue and Phil Mafah quickly makes them realize, hey, let's not bring out these old people and let's get a lot more younger. Yeah, Jaden Blue and Phil Mafah, don't think either of them are ever bell cow backs, but if they want to go this running
Hmm.
back by committee thing, that's a duo that I think could absolutely be formidable. They both have talent and anything but Javonte Williams snaps, please.
I mean, this hire of Clayton Adams specifically, I mean, it just tells me they want to value the run game again, especially with Brian Schottenheimer, who's had history with the run game of the Seattle Seahawks, running by committee. When you look at this Tyler Booker pick, of course, they wanted to go this route rather than receiver and taking like Matthew Golden in the first round. Them valuing the run game, do you value that pick more, or did you want a receiver in the first 2 rounds initially? I don't remember what your board looked like, but did you like this Booker pick as the first round pick?
I was okay with it. Funny enough, you said maybe they're valuing the run game. I think this is valuing pass protection because that's what Tyler Booker is really good at. And we have Brock Hoffman and TJ Bass who are already they're pretty good as run blockers. Our run rushing attack got really good once Zach Martin stepped out and one of those two stepped in. But they're not that great in pass pro. And I think that's the idea behind the Tyler Booker pick is let's get somebody that can protect Dak. I gave the individual pick a B just because again, I've been begging the Cowboys to find somebody who can stop the run for years. And so Shamar Stewart and Kenneth Grant were on the board. I really wanted Shamar Stewart. Shamar Stewart, truther. I know a lot of people have mixed feelings about him, but even
Right.
Kenneth Grant would have
Right.
been awesome. That's a dude who both of those guys, day one, are the best run defenders on the team. I hate this idea that Shamar Stewart is a developmental prospect. He's a developmental pass rusher. Day one, he's stratospheres above the rest of that defensive line as a run defender, and it's not even close. But I saw the Tyler Booker pick, kind of thought about it. I don't hate the idea of bringing in a pass protecting offensive guard to replace Zach Martin. It is a hole at the end of the day, even if it's not the biggest one. And I am kind of happy they didn't overdraft a receiver. I felt like one of the Matthew Goldens or the Emeka Egbukas of the world. I know a lot of people like Golden, good player. I don't know if he's quite worth it at 12, but it's just a little confusing. They didn't go wide receiver at all in this draft.
And Sam, I was just about to ask that too, because we've seen these past few seasons, the Cowboys and their wide receiver core, besides CeeDee Lamb, have been struggling to get separation
Yeah.
in the open field. And I expected at least, one or two receiver picks. I mean, do you agree with them not having at least one, just not even one receiving pick? Because
No,
you now have, yeah,
the
go
fact they
ahead,
didn't
sorry.
even take a shot is
It's
mind
nasty.
blowing. Yeah. Maybe they end up trading for somebody, sign Keenan Allen or Amari Cooper back, but yeah, no, the idea that they didn't take a single dart throw is confusing because that room you're looking at Jalen Tolbert, Kevontae Turpin, Jonathan Mingo, and Ryan Flournoy and Jalen Brooks.
Man.
It's not exactly the Bengals wide receiver core. Yeah, I didn't get that at all.
And it blows my mind too, because you say they can go out and get somebody and they might, trade for somebody, but how many times have we seen that in our lifetimes of them going all in as they say they tried to go
Yeah,
and
once.
end up just being okay with quote unquote their guys?
Hmm.
I don't know if I'm confident they're going to try to find a guy like Keenan Allen, who, by the way, I didn't realize at the time of the draft night that he was a free agent and that he wasn't necessarily with the Bears anymore, and that's why they ended up going after a receiver again. So I guess, I mean, this grade of picks, I thought it was a pretty good night, as you were saying. You said A minus, right?
Yeah,
I'll probably agree like B plus, A minus in that area. Overall, a really good draft. You don't see this Cowboys team really mess up drafts for the most part, but it is going to be hard trying to replace Zach Martin for sure, future Hall of Famer. Of course, dealing with injuries more than he really ever had these past 2 seasons. When you think about Zach Martin's impact, what comes to mind first for you?
I mean, just the cleanness of his game, the lack of penalties, the consistency that he brought to the game, the attitude that he brought, like that was more. as he delved into the end of his career, you really start to see that like he wasn't just this great player, he was this great person and leader. And that's important when you're talking about teams. Obviously, we have Dak, and it's important that your quarterback has that kind of impact in the locker room. But having a big boy in the trenches it's important to have that kind of impact as well. And that's why I'm so excited about the Tyler Booker pick because he seems like he can have that kind of impact. He seems like he loves the game of football, like he can be a great leader. There are some people, not some people, but the quarterback doesn't get touched. It's the pretty boy, it's the rich dude. We need somebody who's getting down and dirty every rep, who is willing to lead the locker room and be a leader of men. And that's one of the hidden impacts that Zach Martin played for this team over the past decade, not just being a great football player. So if Tyler Booker can be even half of a Hall of Famer on the field and be as great of a person and a leader off of it, I mean, I think we're looking at a home run 12th overall pick, even if it's maybe a reach.
Yeah, man, I got chills in that post-draft interview I think he had with Micah. Man, that's what you want to see from an
It
offensive
is.
lineman. That's exactly what you want to see. And Micah wasn't exactly receptive to the pick, it seemed
Mhm.
initially, because he was looking for, some help in his linebacker core and on the edge. But he eventually got in the second round, and Donovan Ezaraku, the ACC DPOY. But Tyler Booker, I'm looking forward to it. As you call the wall of Tyler now. Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, now Tyler Booker on this offensive line. No more Travis Frederick, no more Tyron Smith, and officially no more Zach Martin. End of an era on this Cowboys offensive line. You really hate to see it because, man, I enjoyed watching that offensive line get to work.
Yeah, hopefully the start of a new one. Imagine we kept Tyler Biotish, just four
Oh,
Tylers.
man. That would have been awesome. I had nothing against Tyler Biadasz, to be honest with you. I didn't know he was gonna, go to Washington with Dan Quinn, but good to see him doing well over there. And
Yeah.
let's see what they can do with the division in a few months. But that's gonna wrap up our exclusive interview with Taggart Kent, otherwise known as Tag on TikTok and X, formerly Twitter. He also has a YouTube account. Go ahead and shout out real quick before we get out of here again.
Taggart Kent, as you said, TaggartKent, TikTok and Twitter. And then on YouTube, it's Taggy, Taggyyk. But you could just also look up my name and it'll come up.
All right, Tag. Thanks for having us. Thanks for being on in the show on the podcast in episode 65. This was Taggart Kent. All right, thanks once again to Taggart Kent. It was an excellent interview. The UNT Fighting Eagle, the Mean Green Taggart Kent. Great interview. Enjoyed to have him on for the podcast. And we also do remind you to like this video and follow and subscribe on all our socials. You can subscribe on this page, 214 Sports Show, but also Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at 214 Sports Show. We have plenty of content there for you, short form, just going over like the topics we discuss on the podcast. So please follow those accounts. So let's dive in next to the Dallas Stars, TJ, and Wyatt Johnston, Wyatt Johnston, Wyatt Johnston. What more can you say, dude?
Oh, I could say more. What a great player that he is. Finally showed up in the Colorado series. We needed that. I mean, I think that the first two games that the Stars won were games that they shouldn't have won. It's those games, those scrappy Dallas Stars games that are like, you don't see them winning. You don't think that they're the better team, but they still find a way to win because they got the depth. They got the fourth line that fights so hard. And that's what they were doing. I mean, you didn't have any action from some of the biggest goal scorers on this team. Rupe Hentz almost 30 goals this year, only one goal so far this series. Matt Duchene, the big one, 30 goals this year. No goals so far this postseason. Wyatt Johnston before game 5, 33 goals. No goals so far this season. Mikko Rantanen, I think 32 goals or something like that. Zero goals before game 5. And especially with the absence of Jason Robertson, you need those players to step up. You can't win all 4 games against Colorado, winning those scrappy games that you shouldn't win. And finally, at last, game 5 doesn't even take too long, man. 9 seconds into
Nine
the game,
seconds.
Wyatt Johnston puts it in the back of the net, man. That was just such a relief for all the Stars fan base, all the Stars players, I bet too, especially Wyatt Johnston, man. You have you had your players finally show up, and look what happened, man. 6-2, scored 6 goals. Mackenzie Blackwood finally looked like a normal person because, man, he has been amazing for Colorado. It always seems like the goalies step up a little bit when playing the Dallas Stars in the playoffs. But Wyatt, thank you. Thank you for finally showing up. Miko got that first goal. He broke the seal. I think that now, I think he'll feel a lot more comfortable out on the ice. I mean, he had a great game in game 4 when in like the first period, he was being really aggressive. He was putting the puck on net, which was something that he was kind of struggling to do in the first couple games. Um, but of course, after this first period of game 4, nobody really played that well. That was a massacre. But he came back in game 5, played a great game as well. Still waiting for Matt Duchene to break a goal, but hey, I mean, this just teaches you just how it really teaches you just how quickly things can shift in hockey. That there is momentum. There is a thing such as momentum, but as soon as you kind of switch cities or you take a few days off, that could completely switch gears. You have Colorado just looked like they made us look like we were high school amateurs against one of the best teams in the league, which they are. And then you go into game 6 and Stars turn it up a notch and score 6 goals when they couldn't even get one in game 4. Just a pretty crazy twist of events. I expect game 6 to be close, hopefully. If not, you know, don't be surprised if Colorado goes out there and punches Dallas in the mouth again. It can happen again, and then the Stars could do it too. I'm hoping it's a repeat of last year's game 6 in Colorado. Overtime game winner with Matt Duchene. Man, Matt Duchene could get the overtime winner in game 6 like he did last
Storybook.
year. Get his first
Poetic.
goal of the year for the series. Man, that's what we want. That's what we want. If this guy is playing, though, if this guy's playing, which I don't know when he's coming back, they're
I was
keeping it
just
really
about to say.
secretive, which is what we need. That's cool. That's cool. No game planning for number 4 here. But if he plays, Colorado's got to watch out.
And I was just about to say, I mean, this team is getting a little bit healthier now when you have Miro Heiskanen, who's day to day, possibly coming back in the series in this last 2 games. But if not, if this team moves on, knock on wood, if they move on, this could be trouble for the West if Miro Heiskanen, one of the Stars' best players, is back in the Western playoffs. And look, he has more hurdles to clear, as we've seen in the Dallas Morning News. But that was an excellent win for the Stars in Game 5. Those are the kind of wins you need. And like I was saying a few weeks ago, you never know what can happen. All it takes is just a change of city, a change of scenery, like you were saying. That team looked down and out to close the season, 8 straight losses to close out the regular season. Of course, losing also game 1. You look at this series right now, it looks like it's the Stars with most of the momentum. But we'll go to game 6 later today against the Avalanche in Colorado. Let's see if the Stars can close this one out or if this one's heading back to Dallas. Moving on to the final part of the show, the Texas Rangers. What an interesting week. Man, oh man. This offense is putrid. It just showed up last night. We're recording this on a Wednesday morning. Just showed up for the first time last night, winning 15-2. First 10 plus games scored all season long. If you said that in 2023, you would have been shaking your head. But man, 15-2, finally trying to cut into that negative point differential, finally making some good gains, winning by 13. But wow, Jacob deGrom finally getting his first win in almost 3 seasons. First win as a Ranger. The offense was electric, but you look at this past week, man. Trouble in paradise in Sacramento, like going against the Athletics, a young Athletics team that I said had a chance to be the third wild card. But also, you look at that Giants series, man. That first game was incredible, 2-0 shutout. Other than that, just two catastrophic walk-off losses. Luke Jackson, man. I don't know if he's the guy you want as the closer. He's been okay for most of the season, but it's hard to trust him when you have him on the road going against a solid team like the Giants. And then just the little league play to to cost the game on Sunday. Just embarrassing all around. And this team just cannot put runs on the board. You can have these games where they score 15, and then the next game they'll just score one or two. The pitching has been excellent. I cannot believe what I'm seeing. I don't think I've ever seen this from the Rangers. This is like a Mariners kind of season that we've seen where the pitching is excellent, but the offense is so putrid that it doesn't even matter. So, what's your evaluation this past week after being in California, going from Sacramento to San Francisco and then back here?
Yeah, I mean, real quick, that Little League home run walk-off that we gave up was so catastrophic that we had buddies in our group chat texting us about how the Rangers game were that don't even watch baseball.
Oh
It's
yeah.
like when your homeboy is just pops out of his hiding for a little bit to hate on your team whenever they lose. Everybody just comes out of every corner just to come tell you that your team sucks.
Hey,
That's
didn't y'all
that's
lose?
how it
Didn't y'all
was.
lose? All right, bro.
Hey
You don't
man,
watch, man.
Rangers fans, how are we feeling after that?
Like, all right, bro. Okay. You
Well,
don't watch.
but I will say, yeah, you're looking at this is like it feels like 2023 without the offense because the starting pitching has been just amazing, better than 2023, but it feels like 2023 because the relief pitching has been a little questionable now, and has definitely gone to the levels of where it's like it is concerning. Um, I mean, you look at the 5 out of the last 6 losses they've had have been one run. They've been kept at the one run, and it's been a lot of low scoring games. You go back to even the Los Angeles Dodgers series where they lost 1-0 and kind of got messed over by the umpires in New York, which is replay system. No reason to have the replay system. They don't even get it right. Um, and then the Oakland series, having the walk off at least one time in that series, and then the San Francisco Giants, it's back to back walk offs. Um, it's it is concerning. Sometimes it's again we were talking about the offense 15 or so games in, saying that something's got to fix it. Something's got to happen. They got to get healthy or something, which they did, and then Seager got hurt. Um, of course, but price you got to pay for having somebody like Seager on your team, I guess. You got to change the lineup. You got to put Wyatt Langford and Josh Smith at the first two. Bochy listened to us. He did do that. Still hasn't really worked out. And I don't know. I mean, he puts like he'll do like Josh Smith, Wyatt Langford, and then he'll do Jock Peterson at three. And I don't know if it's kind of like a whole situation of
I didn't
like
get that at all.
or like Jake Berger is second or something like that. I don't know if it's like they'll get people on base. Maybe that helps them kind of get into a groove. I don't see how that would work.
Hmm.
But it is an interesting lineups that we've been putting out, and none of them have worked so far. Um, I think that I saw yesterday with the 15 runs, I think Adolis Garcia was batting like seventh or something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
batting seventh. Interesting, uh, you have Jonah Heim at the four, Higashioka at the three. Marcus Simeon, I think, is a good five hitter, even though he's still really, really struggling right now. But it seems like he's started to hit his groove a little bit. He's been hitting over 200 at least in the fifth spot ever since. He's now at 178 for the season. But I mean, I don't know. It's not really a fun year for the Rangers. Not really a fun year so far.
Just very mid. Very, very mid. As we record this on Wednesday morning, 16 and 14 on the Rangers, just a downward spiral after they were first in the AL West for the majority of this year, even with a negative point differential, even reaching towards, negative 20. Of course, the majority of it being from getting blown out earlier in the season, but they've made, good headway after beating the A's 15-2. They play again against the A's today, or I guess today at 1:35. But it's a four-game series. They had to go against the A's, a very young team that left Oakland, and I'm sure Oakland A's fans are just reeling because, of course, like clockwork, the team looks competitive as soon as they leave. It looks like they actually invest more in young talent, and I promise you, they're going to re-sign these guys once they get to Vegas. You have to think that, surely.
Well, are they ever going to get to Vegas, man? Is that stadium going to get built?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, as they said, stay in this little AAA stadium, which, by the way, I actually don't like how it looks. It looks weird on the outside because you see like all the, common freight in the back and
Like
stuff.
Dish Frog Field, man.
Yeah, it does look like a little college field, but this place is. It seems like it looks more packed though, even though obviously the A stadium is more big, and we don't know how many fans it has increased since they've left, but. They're going to finish this series against the A's at Arlington, and then after that, they're going to play the Mariners, in which they were swept in Seattle just a few weeks ago. And now they'll play the Mariners in Arlington as well. So big division matchups to close out this week. And that'll wrap up today's show. So we talked Cowboys, talked Stars in the playoffs, who we hope win, and then also the Rangers, but a downward tumble and are looking to get back on the right track. So, TJ, you want to give your socials really quick?
Yeah, and that would be on X and Twitter. You can follow me at TJ_Krillowitz. On Instagram, TJ.Krillowitz.
And then for me, you can follow me at Joseph_Duffey99 on Instagram and Twitter, and maybe Joe_Duffey on TikTok. And then also we invite you again to subscribe to this channel, 214 Sports Show on YouTube. We also post these episodes on Spotify in full length. Those are where you can find our full episodes from the beginning all the way to now. We've been doing this for quite a while. This is episode 65, as you've heard. Then also you can follow our accounts on Instagram and Twitter and TikTok at the 214 Sports Show. We have plenty of content there in short form for you as well. Yes, yes, TJ in the back.
Thank you. The pin on the screen was got the pin in hand. I'm gonna. I just wanted to know, did we dedicate this episode to anybody yet? Did we
I think we
mention that?
did. Did we mention that? I thought I
Did
said it
we?
in the beginning. I thought I
Did
said
you?
it. The
You might have.
Gerard, what,
I might have just missed it.
something Gerard, what was it again?
Andre Gurode.
Andre Gurode, Cowboys. I did say that Cowboys lineman, 02 to 2010, and they're the beginning of the Romo era. We dedicate this one to you, Andre Gurode. Episode 65.
Cowboys fans
Former,
remember you, man.
yeah, former
Colorado
Cowboys.
Buffalo legend.
Yeah, for sure. Colorado Buffalo legend. Also a North Shore legend, I believe, from Houston, Texas. So
Very
I'm
sure.
sure he's had a lot of big games down there. So Andre Gurode, Dallas Cowboys, episode 65 wrapped up. With TJ Krulowitz, I'm Joseph Duffy. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Go Stars.